Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. Michael Darcy, your host here as always. And today I'm recording this video live from the Sports Radio 810 WHB studios. And today I was going to talk about the Marquise Brown injury and how that's going to affect the Chiefs moving forward. So the Kansas City Chiefs faced off against the Jacksonville Jaguars yesterday in the first preseason game of 2024. They ended up losing the game 26-13 in Jacksonville. But that's not the main storyline coming out of this game. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, the Chiefs had multiple guys put on an absolute show, and we're going to talk about that in a separate video. But the main topic of conversation, the main storyline coming out of this game was an injury concern. The Chiefs suffered their first major injury of the season, and that comes from Chiefs wide receiver Marquise Brown, who was taken to the hospital after suffering a sternoclavicular joint dislocation against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that injury, right off the top of my head, does not sound good, but after diving into really what a sternoclavicular joint dislocation is, it's going to have Hollywood Brown sitting out for at least a couple weeks. This is not an injury that you can just have and then come back the next day. If you guys remember in 2019, I believe it was, Tyreek Hill suffered the same injury against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was when Jalen Ramsey tackled Hill out of bounds and he kind of landed on his shoulder, dislocating that joint. That's very similar to what happened to Hollywood Brown. And if you guys remember, Tyreek Hill was out for like 4 weeks. I expect Hollywood Brown to be out at least 3 to 4 weeks, which puts him back around week 2 or 3 of the regular season. So I think the Chiefs are going to be without their number one wide receiver until about week 2 or 3 of the season, which wouldn't be concerning if there wasn't a giant question mark surrounding wide receiver Rashee Rice as to whether he's going to be suspended. Xavier Worthy's a rookie who's had some hamstring issues, and you don't know what you're going to get from him. And, you know, obviously we don't trust guys like Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, so I think that Hollywood Brown's injury is more significant than someone else getting hurt. He was going to be the glue that held this wide receiver core together. And listen, it's not a season-ending injury. It's not something that, he can't recover from. But I think the Chiefs might have learned their lesson as to throwing guys out there in the preseason. I know Andy Reid's philosophy is to get guys out there and give them reps in the preseason so they don't get hurt when it comes time to play meaningful football. But man, going forward, I don't want to see Travis Kelce on the field. I don't want to see Patrick Mahomes on the field. They played their drive yesterday, and that's good enough for me. Keep them on the sidelines. Keep them healthy for the regular season. When it comes to guys like that, I'm not super concerned about their ability to play when it actually matters. So I would definitely not play Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce after witnessing what happened to Marquise Brown last night. But I think we need to talk about some other options that are going to have to step up when Marquise Brown is hurt. And I think that really lends to an interesting debate. If you guys have been paying attention to news around the NFL, JuJu Smith-Schuster just got released from the New England Patriots a couple days ago. And now with the injury to Marquise Brown, maybe a reunion in Kansas City. But I think when you take a look at JuJu Smith-Schuster's production, he played 1 year in New England after signing a 3-year contract, and they saw enough of him after 1 season to let him go. Injuries have really plagued this man's career. I mean, if you guys remember, in Kansas City, he had that knee injury, and it really never got better, but he kind of just thugged it out and played anyway. But it seems like the best days of JuJu Smith-Schuster are behind him, but maybe he's a viable option to pick up for a couple weeks when you're waiting for Marquise Brown to come back. But I do want to stress in this video that Marquise Brown's injury is not something that is going to impact this team long term. He should be back in 4 or 5 weeks tops. I mean, I'm really just comparing this injury to Tyreek Hill's injury. And listen, no two injuries are the same. But when you do have a joint dislocation, I mean, it's not soft tissue. It's not a bone break. It's not an ACL or an MCL or like a pec tear. This is something that, put his arm in a sling, just set that shoulder and let him rest. I mean, there's no point in rushing him back in the preseason, but I think, he'll probably need a little bit more time, in the regular season too, because the media asked Andy Reid what he thought about the injury in the postgame, and he said that he expected Brown to potentially miss some time. I mean, Andy Reid is never going to be completely transparent when it comes to, the injury status of most players. He usually keeps it pretty mellow and pretty tone, but I think Marquise Brown is out at least 4 or 5 weeks. So that begs the question, who is going to step up at wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs? And I would love to know what you guys think in the comments section down below, because there's plenty of options. Maybe Xavier Worthy takes a giant step and really shows that he's worth that first-round selection. Maybe Rashee Rice doesn't get suspended by the NFL. I think that's highly unlikely, but maybe he plays the first couple games of the season before the NFL, decides to suspend him. Maybe he steps up. Maybe Nikko Remigio makes the team, and maybe he's a guy that can contribute right away. I mean, you saw him yesterday in the preseason game. He had a couple really nice catches. And so I think the Chiefs have enough options at wide receiver that with Hollywood Brown being down, you can figure it out. It's not going to be a great solution, but the Chiefs won a Super Bowl last year with Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Mecole Hardman, and Sky Moore all playing. So I'm fairly confident that you can kind of tread water in the first couple games of the season. If he's not back by then, that's just a major if. He could be back and ready to go by week 1, but we're a little less than a month away from the first game. So I think the odds that he does come back before then are very rare. I don't think that's happening. And even if he is good to go, the Chiefs should probably put him on ice until the regular season. So let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of this injury. What were your thoughts? What were your reactions when it happened? Because I saw Chiefs Twitter. Chiefs Twitter was not very calm, and I kind of understand it. I mean, you had a guy that you brought in the offseason to be your number 1 wide receiver get hurt in the first preseason game. I can see why that would be frustrating, and I can see why that would be worrisome. But I do think that this injury isn't going to be anything to worry about long term. I mean, Brown spent the night at the hospital last night, but he was released this morning, Sunday morning, according to Ian Rappaport. So I'm not really worried, guys. It's something that sucks because he's going to be out for a couple weeks, but he'll be back and ready to go for at least, meaningful football in the regular season. So that's all I really care about. So let me know down in the comments below what you guys think of this injury. But I think he's going to be out for a couple weeks, and he will be right back in a Chiefs uniform. So until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to boost this video so other people can see it. Go check out my work on the Bleacher Report mobile app. That is Michael_Darcy. Go check out the AFC West Roundtable. We've got a stream on that on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video, and go Chiefs.